おはようございます。セナのアレックス・ジニンです。はい、よろしくお願いします。This is how much my Japanese is. So, very welcome. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic that Cinarra is open in this market. And so to let you know about Cinarra a little bit, I'm the founder and the CEO of Cinarra Systems. We are an ad tech company that is based in the United States, in Russia, and we opened in Japan a few months ago. So we're very international. And it's a very interesting time right now. We are, Cinarra is working between the two markets, between the mobile advertising market and the mobile telecom market. So if you look at how the users consume the internet content today, you will see that there is more users who have mobile devices as their primary internet access device than the desktop. Think about not only Japan, which is a very good example, but also countries like India, like Indonesia, where there is no desktop. It's all about mobile. The same thing about consuming the content. More content is consumed on the mobile than on the desktop. And more mobile devices are sold every year than the desktop on a quarterly basis, three times more than the desktop. So it's very clear that the users have moved to mobile. They're very interested in mobile, they're mostly using it to consume the content. But when we look at the advertising budget, the ad agencies that want to spend money in the digital channel, they're still not spending as much money, as much dollars in the mobile segment compared to the desktop. So something is going wrong there. Somewhere as an industry we have not performed well. And there is multiple reasons for it, but ultimately for the ad agencies, for the advertisers, there is something that has to show the performance, something that has to show the return on investment. And the problem that we have is that we are using the same performance metric as we use for desktop, we're using them for mobile. So we're essentially treating a mobile device as just yet another screen. And of course, it's not performing as well. So part of the problem is in the behavior of the user. If the user's on the desktop, they're somewhere in the comfort of their home or an office. They can spend some time at a desktop, a laptop, to research the product, to look at the pricing, pull out the card, and make a purchase. So we all know very well that conversion cycle. When you're on mobile, on the other hand, it's a very different story. You may not be even buying right now. You may be standing somewhere in a cafe or on a train. You maybe just pull the phone somewhere just to check some emails or maybe some websites, some application, and you see the ad. You're not going to purchase. But does it mean that this transaction is completely useless? Of course not. Because as the advertiser, we deliver the message to the consumer. The consumer learns about you, learns about the product, but they're reacting in a different way. There is also a technical issue. The whole digital internet industry over the last decades has been built around the notion of a cookie. What is a cookie? Right? If you go outside of the vertical platforms like Facebook and Google, you will see that basically the platforms do not know who are the users who are clicking and purchasing. They don't know. All they know is a collection of cookies, like 20 to 50 cookies describing the user as a slices of behavior. It's very ephemeral. There is no hard data. And this is a problem as well. On mobile, those cookies, they're supported in a poor way. You know, like on Apple devices, on iOS, there's very limited support, which has been kind of improved, but still limited. But another point is the users have started consuming more content, spending more time in the native apps, less so on the web, right? So they're moving to the native apps where cookies simply do not apply. They don't exist there. So whatever the browsing behavior we've seen in the browser, when we move to the app world, is simply irrelevant. And whatever cookies are there on the traditional platforms, the data there is very noisy. We have seen that on the mobile platforms, on the traditional mobile platforms, there is a very limited increase in performance when you start mixing in some third-party data. So there is something wrong there. We have approached the problem from a wrong perspective. We have treated it as just yet another device, but it's not. the mobile is really something fundamentally different, fundamentally new, and much more interesting than just yet another screen. First of all, it's a truly personal device. While you can share your desktop, for example, or laptop with your kids, with your wife, you're probably not going to do that with your mobile, right? The mobile is very personal. Second is when you're looking on the mobile, it's always connected to the network. You don't need to go in and continuously kind of log in somewhere. Even if you're not on Wi-Fi, you're on the network because the call has to be routed somewhere. If somebody calls you, somebody sends you an SMS, it has to be connected. The network knows where you are. You're always on. And it's a device that is always with you. You may not have your laptop right now on you, but you're most likely going to have your mobile phone. So wherever the user goes, the mobile device follows. So once we understand the behavior of the device, we understand essentially the behavior of the user. And finally, which is a very interesting topic as well, kind of a separate topic, is that the mobile device has become now a gateway between the internet world and the real-life world, where the users go and pay with the device. They go and register for flights, they register for the events and the tickets, right, using that device. So essentially it becomes the gateway between those worlds. That is, combined together, is something that enabled the new type of data, the new type of user data that has never existed before in the digital marketing, which is what we call ubiquitous user location. Understanding where the phone is, where the user is, enables us to create a completely new way of understanding the user live. And this is what it is about. When you understand where the user is at a different level, when you know about it on a basically every time the user goes somewhere, you understand the events that are happening to the user. You can now build a very rich understanding, very rich profile about that consumer. And of course, we will talk about this, but of course consumer privacy is extremely important. And the good news here is that the technologies exist that fully protect consumer privacy, but at the same time allow us to build that rich profile. The gotcha here, the key component here to enable this type of technology and this type of audience knowledge is the quality of location. It has to be frequent enough, we have to know about the user frequently enough, and the location has to be precise enough. And this is exactly where the traditional platforms do not perform. Even if you take the most advanced ones, such as Foursquare or Facebook, only a fraction of the users actually log in with the location, check in with location. And even for those ones that do, 90% of the time they're not posting. 90% of the time they're consuming content, which is not when the location is published to the platform. And this is exactly the problem right now. If you look at the industry-wide, in the advertising, the mobile advertising inventory, less than 10% of the inventory is enabled with location. This is really one of the most important limiting factors of the mobile advertising industry today, even though everybody agrees that location is the holy grail. And this is exactly where the role of the mobile operators becomes important, because the operators, they have very unique assets. They have the assets of the mobile network, 3G, 4G, that is connecting users 24/7, all the time. The network has to know, by the virtue, by the nature of the service provided to the user, the network has to know where the user is. And then we have the carrier Wi-Fi networks, where you have hundreds of thousands of access points across the important business locations, such as restaurants and shops and stores and so on, which will give you very interesting venue information, right? Where the users go. Do they go to the restaurants, do they go to the shops, and so on. And this is, by the way, one of the major trends that is happening right now in the telecom industry. The operator's role is changing from being the connectivity providers, like connecting person A to person B over the phone, or connecting to the internet and just shipping bits. They're now becoming the data warehouses, where the key asset, the key product, is really the intelligence about the user. And the interesting fact is that consumers actually feel more comfortable about giving this information to the carriers, because the carriers for many decades have been operating on this data and have been protecting consumer data. They know how to do it. They have the proper practices, the proper security measures in mind. Right? And all of this is implemented right now. So what Cinarra has done is a few months ago in August, together with SoftBank, we have announced the opening of the open Cinarra mediation platform that leverages the SoftBank assets, network assets, the 3G, 4G, and the Wi-Fi, and now enables the advertisers to deliver campaigns, preserving consumer privacy, deliver campaigns using the rich carrier data. What this really is about a new technology and the new business capabilities. The technology itself is based around what we call the real-time recommendation. Real-time recommendation technology allows us to protect data in the perimeter of the carrier, so to avoid that data being sent out to anybody. So it's consumer privacy protection, one of those assets. And then we have the real-life consumer analytics based on the immediate location, real-time analytics. We have privacy by design, and through our technologies, we enable the integration between those industries. So essentially, what is becoming possible now is the mobile operators across the globe, including Japan, can now integrate into the platform, and the platform integrates with the advertising platforms. And those industries can now work together, again, protecting consumer privacy. This enables, at the business level, a completely new different type of advertising, right? Beyond the cookies, obviously, and beyond the traditional location proximity tags. Right? So we're talking about the campaigns where I can deliver advertising to a set of users who have visited Ginza, for example, 5 times in the last month, or who have visited one of the airports in the last month, or at least 3 times, for example. And the targeting is happening at the audience segment level, so we don't know who the users are, we don't know when exactly they were there, which of the airports and so on, right? But we know that there is a certain behavioral pattern there, and so we can deliver those ads. But also, what is becoming important now, unlike in the traditional cookie-based advertising, is that we now get the audience marketing tool. Now, instead of being just a bunch of cookies, now we can actually provide the reports back to the advertiser and say, okay, in your campaign, we have seen the reaction to your product in these geographical regions. Right? We can now look at it and say, okay, in your product, there's more reaction of the female population than the male. And there is a certain distribution of reaction across the age categories. And there's a certain time where people are reacting. So now it becomes a marketing tool. It's not just media execution, it's more of an audience marketing, where there is the campaign delivery, but it is also the research and audience analytics coming back. So this can be now used by the advertisers to engage consumers at an earlier stage in the process, understand the reaction, and then target better conversion-based campaigns based on where they see the people. So this is the topic that is very new, and this is what we would like to put to the panel for discussion. We're talking about completely new type of data, so this is ubiquitous user location. We're talking about completely new targeting capabilities and the new audience marketing capabilities as well at the business level.